With that, I would like to introduce Ellen Phipps of Aging Together. Ellen.
Good morning. Thank you, Steve. Thanks so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I am just so excited. I'm Ellen Phipps. I'm the Executive Director of Aging Together. And on behalf of the Piedmont Dementia Education Committee, we welcome you today. I would like to give a shout out to our sponsors. We're very grateful. They're the ones who make this event possible. So we are really grateful to the Geriatric Training and Education at the Center on Aging at Virginia Commonwealth University and the Culpeper Wellness Foundation. Those are our two presenting sponsors. And we are also very grateful for additional sponsors, AARP, Rappahannock Rapidan Community Services, and we have quite a few folks presenting from there to over the next 2 days. We really enjoy our partnership with them. Culpeper Human Services, again, we just really appreciate their support and their partnership. The Harbor at Renaissance, can't say enough about Lisa Dodson at the Harbor. She just does amazing things for folks in our area. And same with the Villa at Suffield Meadows. So thanks to our partners and our sponsors. And of course, in addition to the sponsors, as Steve mentioned, we have many exhibitors, and you will get a chance throughout the next 2 days to visit the exhibit hall and also after. Oh, and there's the exhibit hall. Wonderful. So you will get plenty of chance to see all the different exhibitors and sponsors there. Handouts will be available. Some might appear in the chat as people are presenting, but all handouts will be available at our website on the conference page, and that's agingtogether.org. If you have any technical problems today, please go ahead and send a text to Steve Gurney at 1-703-966-6182. Again, any technical problems, go ahead and send a text to Steve Gurney at 1-703-966-6182. Steve told you about the raffle. I just love that color wheel, and I'm excited to see who's going to win some of those wonderful intergenerational books. And again, just a reminder, you know, these Zoom webinars and conferences, it's a little bit different. We've all had to kind of get used to it. But I really think the key is the more that you engage and participate, the more you will get out of it. And there should be plenty of opportunities in the next 2 days for you to join in, participate, ask your questions, that kind of thing. So we know that there are more than 150,000 Virginians living with dementia, and we know there are at least 3 times that number of caregivers. And Aging Together, along with the Piedmont Dementia Education Committee, we are committed to supporting caregivers however we can. We want to hear from you. We want to continue to provide programs such as this one. So please let us know, caregivers. I have to say, there are way more family caregivers that registered this year for this conference than healthcare professionals. And while I love that healthcare professionals join us, I'm really grateful that family caregivers are reaching out, and I hope you will find some useful tools. We are going to be asking for a brief evaluation at the end of the conference just to make sure you got what you were hoping to get out of this. It is now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker today. Melanie Bunn is a speaker and mentor with Teepa Snow's positive approach to care. She received her undergraduate degree in nursing from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and her master's degree in family health nursing from Clemson University, and a postmaster's gerontological nurse practitioner certificate from Duke. She is a skilled and experienced advanced practice nurse and nurse educator, conducting over 200 presentations and trainings annually to health professionals. And I just have to say, Melanie and I were chatting earlier. I first saw Melanie, we figured it was somewhere around 25 years ago. She does, in fact, look the same. I'm just saying, okay? And it's just a real joy. I was impressed when I saw her back then, all those years ago, working with Teepa Snow. And it's just a joy. I'm so excited that she's here with us today. So, Melanie, take it away.
Thanks so much, Ellen, and welcome to my kitchen, everyone. I wish I were with you in wherever you are, and I'm just really curious wherever you are. I was having a conversation with someone, and we kind of explored the idea that what we miss kind of about being in person is standing in the line at the bathroom. And not so much standing in the line and not so much the bathroom. But what we really miss is that just being able to connect one-on-one, just being able to make those relationships and those connections. And we have a couple of ways, and Steve kind of mentioned this. So I'm going to ask y'all, if you would please, to go ahead and drop into the chat. So you can drop into the chat, and you can do it to everybody, and just write, you don't have to write I'm Melanie, but I'm going to write I'm Melanie and I'm from North Carolina, and just drop into the chat, I'm a nurse, or I'm from California, or I'm here, my husband has dementia. Just drop into the chat so we kind of can begin to get to know you a little bit. Who you are and why you're here. So just go ahead. It's in the taskbar at the bottom. Just go ahead and drop into the chat. So, and that's really true for a lot of people. A lot of people are here and have on two hats. They have on their care partner hat, and they have on their I'm a nurse hat, or they have on their I'm a professional caregiver, and it's my family or I'm worried about, or my faith community. Or so I love seeing people drop in where they're from, and that their relationships with the people that they have. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm kind of watching those come up. What a wonderful group. And I'm so glad being here with people who are here from a professional perspective, and people who are here from a family perspective. It keeps us all honest. It keeps these conversations really honest. So I'm gonna give y'all just another minute to drop all of those in, and we'll go ahead and get started. So I am going to share my screen because I don't get paid if I don't have any PowerPoints. That's just the way it is in this world. We're going to look at that later. I'm going to share my screen. And what we're going to be talking about today is navigating the journey of dementia. So there's some words in there that are really important. One of them is navigating, which means kind of being personal, purposeful and intentional, not just kind of randomly being rocked along on the waves or kind of going out and exploring, but navigating. You're intentional on this journey, and it's of dementia. It's not about the person living with dementia or about the care partner. It truly is about this condition and these relationships and this team that you build. So I'm going to ask you to take a minute and think about what you think about when you're considering the idea of dementia and normal versus not normal aging. I'm going to have you take a minute and just think about, what do you think about when you think about normal aging, and what do you think about when you think about not normal aging? So take a minute and just ponder that, and drop some of the changes. I'm going to ask you first to start with aging changes. Just drop in the chat some of the things you have noticed that are different about you as you have gotten older? What are some of those things you've noticed about you as you have gotten older? So just drop those into the chat. Oh, I see vision and hearing changes. That's a really good one. That happens to everybody. And that means it is part of the aging change, that it is happens to everybody. Vision is another one. So do you think that that is only aging, or do you think that gets changes as people get dementia too? We might explore that a little bit tomorrow. People are dropping in things like you need a list to shop. So whereas you used to be able to go and just remember all those things, now you put those. That's a very adaptive kind of response. Not as quick at doing things. That's another great kind of response. Oh, somebody put in more aches and pains and getting tired. So some of these physical kinds of things are changing. So those are really some things that happen throughout our bodies, throughout our brains, energy changes that are really true as part of dementia. So let's look at some of the things that I have on my list. So I wanted to show this, and I want you, if you've got your smartphone out, I want you to go ahead and take a photograph of this slide, because this slide is important. Because if you want the slides from the presentation, this is where you go to get those. So the slides will be available for 2 weeks. So go and look at those. So let's go ahead and start talking about what are some of those signs of normal aging. So some of you put some of these in there, things like being slower or more hesitant, or thinking, being more cautious. So if you are 70 years old and you're driving and the stoplight turns yellow, which pedal are you going to hit? I'm thinking most of y'all are going to put, you're going to hit the brake. If you're 17 and you're driving and the light turns yellow, which pedal might you hit? You might hit that go pedal. So thinking things through, being more intentional. You might have some challenges of pausing with word finding, or reviewing things from the past. But this is really different from if you look at that other side of the list, where it's not that it's harder to do or that it takes more effort to do. It's really that if you, with dementia, it's that you can't do. It's not working anymore. So it's not that people are choosing to do things, it's that their brain doesn't fit that way anymore. So let me give you an example. So if I am walking through the store and I run into somebody that I have known for a long time, and I run into that person and I go, oh, yeah, it is so good to see you. It has been so long since we've been together in person at church. And I have no idea what that person's name is. I have no idea, but I know who that person is. I know who she or he is to me in my life. I struggle to get the name out. So that is really part of, I'm going to scoot around a little bit because the sun has decided to come in. That is really part of, I'll put that up again. That is really part of aging, is losing those names. But if I look at that person and I don't know who that person is, it's not that I can't place her, but I look at that person. It's not that I can't get her name out, it's I look at that person and I don't know who she or he is to me. I don't know who that person is to me. So that becomes really different than just problems with the quickness of getting things out. The problems with, I think of it later. It really is very different. So I'm going to share my screen again, and I will put that back up. And I actually will do this. I'm actually going to stop sharing for a moment. and put it, I'll see if we can put it in the link a little bit later. And I'm going to check in with Steve. Steve, I thought that my colleague Christine was going to be joining
Yep,
me. Is
she's here and I'm going to bring her to the stage.
that would be lovely.
And then Christine, once you get on the stage, you can pop your camera and mic on. There you go.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. This is my colleague and friend, Christine, and she's going to be doing some of these playing together with me, doing some of these practicing kind of things with me. So I'm going to go back. Christine, I'm going to ask if you can drop in the chat that address to share. Thank you. I appreciate it. Or not to share, but that address to get that information. So Christine is going to drop that in the chat. Thanks. So we've talked a little bit about normal, not normal aging. So now let's move into some of these warning signs for dementia and for Alzheimer's. So if you look at these, there are things about memories, there are things about doing things, there are things about words, there are things about getting lost. There are things about not doing things the way you used to do. So not making decisions the way you used to do, not being good at things the way you used to be good at things, not being able to keep up with things, changes in mood. So the person who's always been very happy and positive and optimistic is now being really reserved or a little distressed, or maybe not trusting someone who's always been trusted, and lost in being able to get started. So I'm going to ask you to, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to ask you to start dropping some things in the chat about what were some of the first things you noticed with your person or with your people as you were beginning on this journey with dementia. What are some of those things that you first noticed? And I'm going to ask Christine to kind of keep up with some of those and call them out as she sees them.
Erratic behavior.
Ooh, so I guess that means not doing things the way they used to, or sometimes doing things one way and sometimes doing things a different way. What else are you noticing, Christine?
Wow, I'm seeing some really great comments coming in. Tense mood, constant repeating, heightened responses to things that never bothered them before.
Ooh,
So
so
some changes.
Yeah, I never used to worry about things, and now all of a sudden things are real. We've got to have more toilet paper. We have got to have more toilet paper. We need more toilet paper.
Exactly.
Anything else?
Getting quiet and less vocal, accusing of stealing.
So those are some really good things that I'm going to ask Christine to make a note of some of those, because tomorrow what we're talking about are these things. And so as she makes a note of some of these things, then we will kind of try to include some of them tomorrow when we're talking about these kinds of situations and issues. So thank you for sharing those. And those are complicated and they're difficult. That's why they become such a big deal. So the reality is that dementia, all of these things that you listed, dementia eventually changes the whole brain. So do this with me. I know I can't see you, but I trust that you're doing this. Kind of wrap your hands all over your brain, because we think a lot. Put your fingers right there. We think a lot about dementia interacting with memory, and that is really important, especially for Alzheimer's type, but it's also, put your hands right here. It's language. And put your hands right here. It's your sensory motor strip, your ability to do stuff. Put your hand back here. It's that vision. And put your hands deep down in there, and it's the hippocampus, and it's the amygdala. It's all the parts of the brain. And put your hand right here. It's that ability to make decisions. So it's all over the brain. So we can begin to think about that as brain failure, or we can think about that as brain change. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a minute, because we're going to talk a little bit about those issues of brain failure and brain change. So brain failure I'm a nurse, and so I know a lot of people who have problems like congestive heart failure. So Christine, have you ever known anybody with congestive heart failure?
Yes, I have.
And what kind of things happen to them?
Kind of hard to breathe.
I get real short of breath. So if I walk up to my friend Christine, who's got congestive heart failure, and I say, Christine, breathe better. Now you could breathe better last. Now, come on, Christine. Now you can breathe. So thumbs up, thumbs down. Yeah, Christine's not liking me very much. So the organ of the brain that's failing is the heart, or the organ of the brain that's failing are those kidneys or that liver. We tend to be a little bit more. Drop into the chat. What do you think? How do you think we are slightly different with people who have something like congestive heart failure or kidney failure or liver failure? How are we maybe a little bit different with those people than we are with people with brain failure? So what kinds of things are showing up, Christine?
More compassionate.
Oh, so I think Ellen said that. So Ellen, would you unmute and share your screen or show me yourself just a minute? So more compassionate. Tell me what you mean by that, Ellen.
So I think when we are experiencing somebody that has like a tangible challenge, something that maybe we can see or we can really identify. If they had a broken leg, we wouldn't say, get up and run across the room. Who would do that, right? We can see it, we can understand it. So we seem to be a little bit more compassionate. I think as compared with dementia, where maybe we can see it and it's coming out in behavior, and we're not really maybe fully understanding what's happening. So it's like, come on, pull your socks up. You can do better.
And I love that. And that is absolutely you're spot on, Ellen, that when we something we can see, you can see somebody being short of breath. We can watch the labs for people with kidney failure and liver failure. We have this different kind of compassion. And I see some other words, more understanding and more patient, and the physical things that are going. Absolutely. So I think what Ellen is saying is if people living with dementia, if their heads shrunk, we might be nicer to them, because if you see your mom and she's got a little bitty head, or your husband and he's got a little bitty head, or you walk in to interact with one of your clients or one of your patients and they've got a little bitty head, you're going to go, oh, that person's got a challenge. I need to change for that. But the challenge is with people living with dementia, there are structural changes and there are chemical changes. And why that makes a difference is the structural changes kind of change often in kind of an ongoing slow progression, particularly for Alzheimer's disease. Those chemical changes are like this. And so sometimes people can do it, and sometimes they really can't do those things. So it makes it feel like, if the person would just pay attention, they could do it. Or if they would try harder or concentrate, they could do it. So we get into that habit of saying, try harder or concentrate or pay attention. Or, Mom, you always love Christine more than you love me, and you would always do more for Christine than you do for me. And then it becomes this something different that isn't really helpful. So with dementia, we think about dementia. I think there was a place for thinking about dementia as brain failure, because that really helps me realize that that person living with dementia is doing the very best that he or she can in this moment. In this moment, that person is doing the best that he or she can. So our job is to provide support to help them be able to do the best that they can in this moment. So that idea of brain failure is really important. But that second slide that I put up there, that second slide didn't say brain failure, it said something else. So Christine, what was that second slide? What did that say?
Brain change.
Brain change. So I want people to just really quickly drop into the chat. What do you think of that's different between the idea of brain failure and brain change? The difference between failing and changing. What do you think about the difference of that might be? I'm going to ask you to go ahead and drop, and there isn't a right or wrong answer. So just drop in the chat what it means to you. And we'll kind of see what shows up. So Christine, what are people what's showing up?
Kathy said that change, the word change, feels a little more positive, can be positive.
So it feels a little more positive, and it can be positive. I was talking with a woman and she said, my mother-in-law always hated me. Her entire life, the whole time, she didn't want us to date. She didn't want us to get married. She didn't want us to come. She hated me. She would invite my husband over for Thanksgiving and ask me not to come. She always hated me. But when she got dementia, she liked me. And so sometimes those changes can be positive changes. What else is dropping in the chat, Christine?
Misty says, fail reminds me of loss and change reminds me of doing things differently.
Oh, so it's different, and different means different, and different means we've got to do something different to make it work, but it means we've got something we can do. If something's failed, it's gone, it's over, it's failing, there's nothing. Changing means I can do something. So I'm going to ask everybody to hold up one hand with 5 fingers and the other hand with 5 fingers, and then to line those 5 fingers up and see how nicely that happens. So your 5 fingers all touch, they all connect, it all works. So now let's try something different. Put up 5 fingers on one hand. So this is my brain. Put up 3 fingers on the hand of the person living with dementia. Now try to line them up. And what you notice is things don't fit. Something is left out. There's a disconnection. It doesn't work unless I choose to use 3 fingers to make those connections. I can do that as a person who doesn't have dementia. I can use 3 fingers. I can choose not to do these. For the person living with dementia, they don't have these. I can choose to change myself to make that connection, to find that balance. I can choose to do that. The person living with dementia, they're not there anymore. So it's up to me to make those choices. So in that approach, using that approach, what the model that PAC uses is called the GEMS. It's created from a model that was done by an occupational therapist. And then we did a lot of, Teep and I did some work on it. And then she had this brilliant idea that maybe there was a way we could think about people living with dementia that doesn't limit them to numbers or words that are all focused on their losses. And so the idea that she came up with was maybe instead of calling people after their number or late and early and all those kinds of things, we might decide to start thinking about people living with dementia as being precious gems that are all different. Each has things that are preserved and things that are lost, but they're all precious because we in our culture tend to value sparkly things and things that are shiny and expensive. So we're going to take a bit of time and we're going to talk about how things change as one option as people living with dementia move through the changes that are happening in their brain. But I also want you to pay attention and think about, are there ever times when this might not sound like your person living with dementia? If there ever times when this might sound like me, or it might sound like Christine, or it might sound like Ellen, or it might sound like Steve, or it might sound like anybody else who's participating in this conference. So let's start. And we're going to start. I'm going to put this back up for just a second. I'm not going to keep the PowerPoint up the whole time. I'm going to put that back up for just a second. And if you want to take a photograph of this, that's fine while we're talking about it. But just remember that you can go to that tpasnow.com. You can get these PowerPoints. But if you want something to look at while we're talking about them, then you'll have this option. So I'm going to stop sharing. So we're going to start with sapphires. So if everybody put your hands together like this. It's your birthday. My birthday is actually in September. So it's your birthday. Open up your box. And this year for your birthday, you get a sapphire. Sapphire is the birthstone for September. So that's why it's my favorite. So you get a sapphire. If you look at that sapphire, it is a beautiful, some sapphires are different colors, but the majority of sapphires are this beautiful true blue. This beautiful, amazing true blue. So if you open your box and you get a sapphire, fantastic. You've got a true blue person. So the true blue people, the sapphire people, people who are in that sapphire state are people who their brain is all working and it's all connecting in an amazing, beautiful way. It actually is clear and open, and people who are sapphires can actually be flexible and can actually be creative and can actually do something really important. Put your hand right here. Two things we're going to talk about. Put your hand right here and look at yourself in the mirror and think about the situation you're in. You look at yourself in the mirror, you think about your situation and you go, I've got this. I have the skills. I have what I need. I can make this happen. Or you look in that same mirror and you go, I need help. Help. Somebody help me. I can't do this by myself. Somebody help me. So that is your accurate self-awareness. Sapphires are accurately self-aware. So if I am a sapphire person and I am diagnosed with a seizure disorder and I am told not to drive for the next 3 months while my medications are being stabilized, I go, crap, that's really inconvenient, but I don't want to take out a bunch of people. I'm just going to have to put up with it. Uber, here I come. That's the very sapphire way of responding to a challenge. So put your hand right here again. We're going to do something a little different. I'm going to pull this hand away. I'm going to look at it. And this is my perspective, my way of looking at the situation. I'm looking at the situation this way. I'm going to put this other hand like this. This is the other person's perspective. So we are looking at something and it is really different. I think this is really unsafe. I think the way mom's situation is, I think that this can't go any long. I think we've got to make a change really, really soon. My sibling, on the other hand, is looking at this situation and saying, you know, I think if we just do a little bit of tweaking, I think she can get through. I think it's okay. I don't think we need to do anything big right now. So in this situation, I'm looking at it this way. My sibling is looking at it this way. If we are both sapphire, we can have a conversation about it. We can talk about why and how we're looking at the situation the way we are, and we can figure out a way to make it work for both of us. So that is sapphire. So are there times when you, as a human being, are in your sapphire state? Drop that into the chat. Just put, yes, I have times when I can be flexible. I have times when I can be creative. I have times when I can see my own abilities. I have times where I can see other people's perspective. You don't have to put all that. Just put yes in the chat. If you have some days where you can be that way, just drop yes in the chat if you can. So what are you saying, Christine? Are people saying yes, they have moments when they can be that way?
I'm seeing a lot of yeses
Oh,
and thumbs up and totally.
and thumbs up. Yes, absolutely. We all have days and moments and times when we can absolutely be true blue. I am a sapphire today. But that was just the first one, right? We've got other pieces under there. So everybody put your hands back together. It's another birthday. Open your box. And this year for your birthday, you get a diamond. Are you excited to get a diamond? Drop in the chat if you are excited that you got a diamond. You're going to think that for a few minutes and then we're going to figure it out. So you might be excited to get a diamond, because what is the first thing you think about when you think about a diamond? You think about the beauty of the diamond. You think, and people use words like sparkly. What's another beautiful word you use about a diamond, Christine?
A girl's best friend.
A girl's best friend. So something that's valuable and precious. Oh, that's hilarious. Somebody said, yeah, I want a diamond, but I'll give it to my wife and I'll get the worth of the diamond back through seeing her happiness and joy. And yeah, that'll make me happy. That's a good birthstone. Oh, and it's somebody's birthstone. That's really cool as well. So diamonds, the beautiful, they sparkle and they shine and they glitter. But are they glittering while they're in the box? Not so much, because diamonds need what to sparkle and shine? They don't have a light from inside. Diamonds, what do diamonds need to sparkle and shine, Christine?
Light from something else.
They need light. They need a perfect setting, because diamonds are sparkly and shiny when they are in the
Right setting.
When they're in the right setting, diamonds can sparkle and shine. When they're not in the right setting, they're really just kind of dull. And some of the other characteristics we start to notice. We start to notice that diamonds are sparkly, but they're also really rigid. They're really rigid. Can you change a diamond very easily? It's really hard and I don't ask if you can change it anymore, because one day I had a person who was in a diamond state to me. Yeah, you can change a diamond. They've got lasers and they cut them all the time. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it is easy to change a diamond. Diamonds get very rigid as well. So they're very sparkly and shiny in the right situation, but they also are very rigid and they're very stubborn. And so I'm going to explore what kinds of things might happen when you are a diamond. So Christine is my daughter. Oh, Christine, look, it's the most terrible thing. Look what happened.
Hey, Mom.
Spent all that time writing down all the stuff that was happening in October. We wrote down my appointments, and I know there's some birthdays. and I can't find them. And we put them all on here, and they're not on there anymore. Somebody came in and erased my calendar. That's what they did. They came in and they erased my calendar.
Oh, Mom. Oh, you're saying somebody came in and erased your calendar?
And I don't know who would do that to me. I bet it was my neighbor. She's nosy and she's jealous that my children come and visit, and hers just leave her off their boat. So I'm going to time out for just a second. So Christine, what did you notice about me?
You were talking a lot and fast.
I was talking a lot and fast. And why do you think I was talking a lot and fast?
You were very upset about something. Something happened that you did not expect.
Something happened and it was wrong.
Wrong.
It was wrong. And what happened that was wrong?
You thought you wrote some notes down on your calendar and you picked up your calendar and they weren't there.
Yeah, so I thought I wrote some notes on my calendar. And to be honest, this is really what my October calendar looks like. But there was a problem with this calendar. And Christine, what's the problem with this calendar?
I wonder if it says 20, if you meant to write it on 2021 or 2020.
Yeah, so here's the issue. In this particular calendar, I have a few months of 2020 and a whole bunch of months for 2021. And in that moment, who made the mistake?
You did?
I made a mistake. And so I picked up my calendar and I opened it, and there were all the notes we had worked on weren't there. So this is where we start wanting to explain to the diamond. So Christine, try to explain that I opened it up on the wrong page.
Okay. Mom, show me that calendar you were looking at again,
I'm
please.
telling you, that lady came, it must have been my neighbor, because I know, and erased it all. It just erased.
No, Mom, your neighbor did not come over. That
Well,
says October 2020. We wrote it on October 2021.
I don't
So
know
you
what
just
you're
need to
talking
flip.
about. This is exactly, listen, I've got to go. You
No, just change it back,
go ahead.
Mom. She's done this before.
I am gone. How many of y'all have had that moment where you've tried to explain something to that person who was in a diamond state? Have you ever tried to do that? If I were dropping in the chat, I would be the first one to drop in the chat. I have tried to do that. When you try to explain to the person living with dementia who's in that diamond state, it's like I'm taking my head and I'm trying to headbutt my brain into the brain of the person living with dementia. And what you do when you try to do that is both of us are going to wind up with headaches. Both of us are going to wind up with headaches if we do try to do this. It's just not going to work. So you heard and saw Christine. So Christine noticed immediately that it wasn't the right page on the calendar. And Christine knows immediately that my neighbor didn't sneak into my house and change my, right? No, it's not what happened. My strength. So take a moment, and I'm gonna ask everybody to do this. Take a moment, take a deep breath, and let it out. Take another one and let it out. Roll your shoulders back 3 times. 2, 3. Now, take a moment and think about, not about what's wrong with me, because it's really easy to identify the mistakes I made. It's really easy to identify the problems I'm having. I'm going to push you a little bit because that's easy, and y'all are smart people. You can do more than easy. What are some of the strengths that I, as a diamond, have left? What are some of the pieces that are still working? And drop those into the chat. What are some of the things that are preserved? Some of the strengths that I still have. So Christine, what's one that, just while they're finding the chat and dropping things in, what are some of the things that still were preserved? What did you notice?
I noticed that you had, and Ellen says also verbal communication.
Okay, so I have lots of words. I can use my words to express what's going on, and you don't have to guess what's going on in my brain, because I can come up with those words. I've got that language. I've got those words. Did I understand your words?
Kind of, you did, yeah.
Enough to get mad at you and turn my camera off.
Yes, that's true.
So I understood enough to know that you were arguing with me and disagreeing. Now, Christine wasn't arguing or disagreeing. She was trying to explain. But for me, as a person living with dementia, trying to explain begins to feel like arguing. So what were some of those things people are dropping in the chat, Christine?
Recognize the calendar and the need to organize. So you were holding on that we had done something on your calendar.
So I have something new of where we've got this calendar. I'm trying this new thing. I value it. What else, Christine?
And that we have some type of a relationship.
That you were able to help me. So we're holding on to. So do this with me. Put your hands together like this. So with dementia, there are a lot of things that change. So move your thumbs away, that's memory. Move your first fingers away, that's vision. These fingers are language. These fingers are executive function. These fingers are physical abilities. And so there's a lot that's not connected anymore. There's a lot that's really not working. But what is working is this relationship. So dementia doesn't take away this connection that can bring the love and the relationship. That's what we do. And we don't do it to be mean, and we don't do it to be harmful, and we don't do it to be frustrated. We do it because we desperately want and need that person to be the way they used to be, or that person to be the person. It's really, I can go in with a Sapphire and I can do my discharge training and they've got it. I can go into the Sapphire and I can explain, you need to wash your hands, and they can do it. With those diamonds, it takes a lot more work and change. So the first time when Christine responded to me, she did something different. The first time Christine responded to me, she responded to me as a Sapphire. So she was letting me ventilate. She was supporting me. She was looking concerned and distressed. She was reflecting back some of my words. The second time Christine responded to me, she responded to me as another diamond, which isn't going, it's just going to make things escalate and go worse. So everybody take a deep breath. And remember that that person living with dementia who's in that diamond state, that's all they've got. We can do some things to take care of ourselves, and we can return to that sapphire state when we're not reacting in a diamond way. We're choosing to match what is working in the brain of that person living with dementia. So we've talked about us as diamonds and the person living with dementia as a diamond. So Ellen, you unmuted and you showed your thing. So I'm thinking you want to say something to me.
You are spot on, Melanie. I just wanted to highlight that I did see something in the chat where somebody responded, Tanya responded saying that actually dementia does sometimes take that relationship away. The person can fixate on an untruth that undermines the relationship, and there's no explaining the error away. And I just wondered if you could respond to that from the chat.
Sure. So let's do that. Christine, if you will, do you want to be my daughter, or do you want to be the person living with dementia?
I'll be a person living with dementia who's diamond.
Okay, so Christine is going to be a person living with dementia who's in that diamond state. She's going to accuse me of something that I didn't do. Okay, so go ahead, Christine.
I'm going to piggyback off of your example a minute ago. You're going to be my neighbor.
Okay.
Who stole my stuff.
Okay.
You.
Hey,
Why did you take why did you erase my whole calendar?
Oh, Christine, the stuff isn't on your calendar.
I wrote all of this on here, and why did you come in and just take it away?
You wrote
I would never do something like that to you. Why did you do that?
You have always been a really good neighbor. We have always been really good friends and a really good neighbor. And I'm so sorry that this stuff isn't on your calendar and you think I was part of it. I am so sorry, Christine.
Why did you do that? Why not? We spent so much time. My daughter came and we spent a lot of time doing this. I need this information and these dates.
You do. You absolutely do need that information and those dates. And I am so sorry. Listen, Christine, I am going to call your daughter, and I'm going to buy both of y'all a Starbucks cup of coffee.
Why would you do that?
And bring it over. So when y'all,
how does that help my calendar?
So when y'all work on that calendar, you'll have something to drink. Do you want coffee or hot tea?
Well, just coffee, but The light stuff, not the dark, and nothing in it. If you're going to go to all that trouble, make it right.
Okay, so you want light coffee without cream and sugar in it.
Nothing in it. Just, and not too hot. Maybe 3 ice cubes.
3 ice cubes in it.
Only 3. 4 is too many. Just 3.
3 ice cubes, absolutely. So let me take care of that. So, okay, so pause. So what I did there was something, a couple of different skills. So Christine is still mad at me, but I brought her down a little bit. So Christine, what did I do that kind of helped you?
You said you were sorry.
I said I was sorry. So everybody, you're all muted. Look at the camera and say, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so very sorry. And look like you mean it. Because if you say I'm sorry, then it's not gonna work. So say I'm sorry and you really mean it. So Christine, why did me saying I'm sorry help?
Well, you saw that I was very upset. You saw that I was blaming you. And it helped because I know you weren't taking the blame, but it kind of felt like you were saying, yes, I'm going to take this, and I'm just sorry this has happened.
Because I
But-
am terribly sorry that it happened. So I validated, I was concerned. I didn't look, oh, Christine, I didn't look, get over it. It's okay. I was with her emotionally. I agreed with her that it shouldn't have happened, and it shouldn't have happened. She shouldn't have dementia. And I found a way to kind of move a little bit to something that was connected, that was a little different, which was this idea of this really very specific, and I better get it right because I'm not going to get many chances. I'm actually not going to get it at Starbucks. I'm actually going to do it in my kitchen because it better be exactly right. So that's a little bit about how to interact, engage with those diamonds. I'm actually going to, at this point, I'm going to share a video clip with you, and I'm going to show you a little bit of a way to do some COVID kinds of things with somebody who is a little bit of the diamond stage, showing some of the things that Christine and I'm showing you, but also showing a couple of other things. So I'm going to share my screen. And hopefully you will be able to see and to hear this little video clip. So I'm going to make sure I can see somebody. So I'm going to ask Christine, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see? So Christine can see.
I see a purple
Hey, Melanie,
screen.
can you help me with something?
And you can hear. Okay. You need some help?
I do need some help.
If I can, I'll try.
I think you can. Can you help me with fixing lunch, please?
Well, I fixed lunch for many's.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, can you help me with that?
Sure, I'd be glad to.
Awesome. Can we wash our hands first?
Oh,
'Cause, you
you always do that.
Yeah, you always got to do that
Yeah,
first. Can
you
I get
always-
on your, can I get on your right side real quick? Thank
You always do that.
Yeah. Want to get some soap on your hand first?
Well, you wet them first.
Yeah, you gotta wet them first. You got some soap right there?
That's a
Yeah,
it's a fancy one.
it's a fancy one. You want some milk with that?
I don't need. I'm going to pause right there. So, Christine, what have you noticed so far that shows you that I'm not the way I used to be?
Well, you are, instead of just washing your hands, you're telling me that, well, yeah, you wet them first.
Okay. So I'm giving you some steps that would
Giving
be
me some
kind of
steps.
automatic. What am I kind of struggling with right now?
The soap, identifying that even though it looks fancy, it's still soap.
So it's got a little, because I'm now thinking about soap as being a bar of soap or a cake of soap. And this thing with this handle, that's not really giving me the whole soap vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So some things about me that are different. What did you notice? Some things that Matthew was able to do?
He got you involved. He got you doing something.
So
We got you.
What did he tell me we were going to do? He told me we were going to fix lunch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a time when you wash your hands? Yeah, before
That's
you
a good
cook.
question. Yeah.
You always wash your hands before you cook. So it
Mhm.
was a normal time for me to wash my hands, not some arbitrary random kind of time. So we're going to fix some lunch. So that's a good time to wash your hands. So let's see what happens next.
You don't need any help? There you go.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, you can do it.
There was another piece there. He asked if he could help me. And when he asked me to help him, that was all good. When he asked if he could help me, that was not good because I don't need help. All right, I'm done.
Let's wash for a little bit longer.
Oops, there's a problem. I did not do my 20 seconds. I did not do my 1 minute. There were lots of pieces that I missed. And he was saying, well, let's wash them longer. And that could have gone not well if he said, no, you need to wash your hands longer. But I think he's got a trick.
Gotta make sure they're clean. Rock of my soul and the bosom of Abraham. Rock of my soul and the bosom of Abraham. Rock of my soul, bosom of Abraham. Rock of my soul.
So I'm going to stop sharing because that's pretty much as much singing as anybody should ever be subjected to from me. Because I am not known for having a beautiful voice, but there were some beautiful moments in there. So Christine, what did you notice that made that work?
Matthew was doing it with you. And so instead of just saying, wash your hands longer, he was doing it alongside of you and started singing a song, and you started singing with him.
And music always makes everything better if it's the right music, the right time, the right situation. So I also see that Tanya wrote, yeah, I do that. Part of the challenge with dementia is you've got a person who is unique and you've got a dementia process that's unique. And so general strategies don't work for unique situations. So there are other options. We're going to be talking about some different approaches tomorrow. So hopefully we'll be able to find some other things that might work. The other possibility is PAC offers consultations. So there are some free consultations that are, a one-time short kind of thing. And then you can also connect with a PAC team member to have some additional time with consultations for that one-on-one. There are other people that do that as well. There's probably some community organizations that offer that perspective and opportunity as well. So reach out to someone who can give you that one-on-one. Let's talk specifically about your person, your situation, and try to figure it out. So that's another option. So we've got a whole bunch more gem stakes. So put your hands back together. Open your box. This year for your birthday, you get an emerald, and emeralds are also beautiful. And they're also amazing, and they're also precious, and they're green. And green stands for go, and go might mean going back in time. Go might be, I've got to be busy and I've got to go and do stuff. So those emeralds are remembering the way things used to be. I'm looking for my husband, and it's not that 90-year-old man who's standing in front of me. I'm looking for my husband who kind of looks like my grandson when he comes to visit. So I'm looking for that. So that's that emerald. Put your hands back together. Open your box. This year for your birthday, you get a piece of amber, because amber is not a gemstone. Amber is actually a bug or something that got stuck in some sap, and then sap kept coming, sap kept coming, sap, and it formed something that actually, when you look at it, is amazing, because it's this moment of time. It's this moment in experience. So it's for people in this amber state, they have, I say they've got now and they've got not now. So if it's not now, it's not now, and it doesn't matter. So they've either got now or they've got not now. So time doesn't really make a real impact on them. They've also got some changes that are going on with some other parts of their brain, some changes with things like vision and some changes with the way their brain works, which is called agnosia. And so Christine, my daughter, notices that I'm doing something. So everybody, what is your gut reaction? What gem state when I start combing my hair with a toilet bowl brush? Drop in the chat. How many of y'all stayed sapphire? And how many of y'all went a little diamond in that moment? Ooh, some of y'all are going a little diamond in that moment, right? So what does that diamond want to do?
Put that away real fast and wash your hair.
Pull it away and then wash my hair. So what is likely to happen but it actually does. It's really interesting. Look how shiny the toilet bowl brush makes my hair look. I mean, this side I didn't brush. This side, it really makes my hair look. I might start to use it all the time. Just so y'all invite me back sometime. This I bought for this purpose. This toilet bowl brush has never touched anything except my hair. I promise you. Girl Scout, Boy Scouts honor, I promise you. So this one is for this. So some of you, your instinct was to grab that back. And would that have made things better or worse? A lot worse, because here's the problem. These three things are in my bathroom. And Christine, what's the same about all three of these things besides the fact that they're all in my bathroom?
Well, they all have handles and brushes.
They all have handles and they all have brushes or bristles. So I just happened to pick up the wrong one. So if you don't want me picking up this one, what would be a sapphire thing to do?
Put it somewhere else, not keep it in the bathroom.
Not keep it in the bathroom, put it somewhere else, because if I don't see it, I'm not going to grab it. You don't want me brushing my hair with this, but it's kind of not as bad as this. So that is that amber state. Put your hands back together. It's another birthday. Open your box. This year for your birthday, you get a ruby. Rubies are red, and red is stop. So rubies are people who are either on or they're off. They're either going or they're not. So if I'm not going, I'm really not going. If I'm going, it's in a very robotic kind of way. My world is very small and I'm running on my reflexes. There's one more gem state. Put your hands together. Open that box. And you were excited about the sapphires and the diamonds and the emeralds, and the rubies, a little ambivalent about the amber until we figured out what was really precious and valuable about it. This time when you open up your box, you got another surprise, because what you've got in your box is an oyster shell. Ugh. That's I'm not really a big fan of that oyster shell. So a lot of times for people in this pearl state, we as care partners put a lot of our attention in that oyster shell and not so much of our attention in that beautiful pearl that's in there waiting for us. So we've got to work for it. It's waiting for us, that moment of connection, that moment of joy, that moment that happens when we're singing and the person opens their eyes and they're there in that moment. So we can have those beautiful moments for that with that pearl, but only if we pay attention to what's preserved and not just what's lost. So that's a little introduction to the gems. There's a whole lot more information out there about the gems. There are a lot of resources about that. Christine looks like she's going to drop something in the chat that will give you some more information. There's even more information about gems on your PowerPoint. So let's move on and start thinking about those gems. I want you to, while I'm changing back to the PowerPoint, I want you to take a moment and think about which gems your person is usually at and which gems, because most people kind of range between 2 or 3, kind of maybe one on a moment when they're in flow and things are going well, and another in a moment where things are complicated. And truthfully, for us, we range within the gem states throughout our day, because sometimes we're very pearlite when we're sleeping, or maybe when we're just waking up. And sometimes we're completely sapphire when we're able to see perspectives and put things together. So take a moment and reflect about your gem states, reflect about the gem states of the person or the people in your life, so we can layer that in to what we need to be on this journey together. And not just on this journey, but we want to have a wonderful journey. We want to have a successful journey. So what we're going to need are some tools. So the first tool that we need is an attitude that supports the journey. I believe that people living with dementia are doing the best they can. And I actually might go a step farther and say, it's more than I believe this. I actually know that people living with dementia are doing the best they can. And I would add on to that, that we are too. Christine, when she was my care partner, was doing the best she could. When I was her care partner was doing the best I can. The person who is dropping things into the chat, I'm trying these things, they're not working. We're doing the best we can, but we can choose to do things differently as we learn and explore, and as we figure things out. So other things that are important to have a successful journey are things like keeping travel logs, keeping the things that you need. If you're on a journey, you need maps or your phone. You need reservations or your phone. You need your phone. Basically, to travel right now, you need your phone. To travel successfully with dementia, you need a way to keep up with what's going on. Because time, I talk a lot about COVID time and Zoom time. Dementia time is different. And so it seems like it's been happening forever. But when I really start digging in, maybe not forever. So I'm just going to show you one of these. And this is just a really simple thing you can create. This is a behavior log. And it just has 5 columns. And you can take a picture of this if you want to. It just has 5 columns, and it's what happened. The person was banging on the front door and wanted to leave. When did it happen? It happened Tuesday on the 12th, on October 12th at 8 o'clock in the morning. What did I try? I asked her to come help me with breakfast, and the response was she came with me to the kitchen. So if I start to kind of track what happens, when it happens, what did I try, and how did that go, it helps me look for patterns. And even though dementia often seems pretty unpredictable, and a lot of it is, there still are an awful lot of patterns that are part of the process. So I'm looking for those patterns. Sometimes, no matter how hard you plan, how good a job you do with your phone, or somebody does with their phone, you still wind up in a road is closed, or there's a wreck and you can't go the way you're going, or they didn't get your hotel reservation. There are detours, and in those detours, we have a choice. Are we going to stay sapphire, or are we going to move into one of our diamond states, or are we going to move into a diamond state and then do something to get it back together and come back to that sapphire state? So one of, I think, and you can write in the chat if you think, oh no, I think going to the hospital with dementia is wonderful. You can drop that in the chat and we will have a conversation about that later. Necessary, important, but hospitalizations or any kind of health crisis and dementia often is a situation where it makes life a lot harder for everybody, for that person living with dementia and for their partners, and for healthcare staff who might be their partners as well. So I'm going to encourage you to think about before and during and after a hospitalization, before and during and after. So before, the conversation that we often don't have is, are we going to do the hospital or not? Because each of these decisions in managing diseases, in managing infections, in managing conditions, each of these steps is a decision. So I might decide, the hospital is not what we're going to do at this person's time of their life. I might decide, yeah, the hospital still makes a lot of sense right now, but now it doesn't make sense. So we're going to decide if the hospital or not the hospital. We're going to prepare a bag, not just for the person living with dementia, but we're going to pre-pack a bag for Christine as my care partner and for me as the person living with dementia. So this first came to my mind when 1984, I was working as a staff nurse on orthopedics. And there was this woman whose mother had fallen. She'd broken her hip. She was in the hospital. Her mother was distressed. Her mother was uncomfortable. And the daughter said, if I only had my stuff. I've got stuff, I've got music that I use that helps. I've got blankets that I use that help. I've got I've got things at home that I can pull out that will help her, but I don't have any of those things. So we worked together. I took a bunch of zip ties. We put them all together into a string. She manipulated the zip ties. There were enough different textures. We tied some things to it that she could work with and manipulate. And we still really wished we had the things from home. So pack that bag and just keep it in the back, in the trunk of the car, or pack that bag and keep it in the hall closet. I want a bag for me, but I also want my daughter to have a bag because she needs things if she's going to be able to stay Sapphire. And then we're going to set up a team with different roles for support. So my sister, who lives out of town, but is the Facebook queen and is the queen of connections, she's going to be in charge of keeping everybody knowing what's going on with mom. So I'm the daughter who's in town, who's at the hospital, isn't going to be getting a million texts and a million calls. She's going to be the hub for that. So what are we going to do during? It's been hard during COVID. Things are changing, but being there in the hospital is preferred if you can be, because you're there as that person who interprets me. Because if I'm going, ooh, 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 my daughter Christine knows that means I need to go to the bathroom really, really quick. Nobody else in the world might know that except my daughter Christine. So that daughter is there to interpret. That daughter is there to help things, even in a really abnormal situation, to help things to try to be normal. So Christine, what kinds of things, or drop in the chat, what kinds of things for everybody, drop in the chat, what kinds of things are not normal in the hospital that might be normal at home, that Christine, as my daughter, could try to find some ways to support and to make those less unnormal. Unnormal is not a real word, but you get what I'm talking about. So drop in the chat, what are some of those things that you could do? Or if you are a person who works in a hospital, or if you are a healthcare provider preparing people to go in the hospital, what are some of those things that could be helpful to make that really abnormal situation feel a little bit less abnormal? So drop some of those things in the chat. And Christine,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, as folks are starting to think and put some stuff in the chat, first thing that came to my mind was pillow or pillowcase.
So tell me about a special pillow. Do you have a special pillow, Christine?
I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Does it make a difference?
It helps me sleep. Other pillows I can't sleep on.
So you might not have that in the bag all the time, but you might have a big note on top of the bag that says pillow. And that, or you might have multiple pillows that are the same.
Mhm.
Anything else showing up in the chat, Christine?
Oh, absolutely. Knowing what the self-care routine is as far as washing face and then brushing teeth. Either
Mm,
do I do that in the morning or do I do that later on? But trying to keep a similar routine. Also, radio or CD player, family photos, and then notes for staff about how does my mom prefer to be called? Does she like to be called Melanie? Does she like to be called Mel? What is her preferred name? Um,
So those
those
are
are
great examples. And there actually is a form that we use sometimes in PAC on a know me form. So what are some of the things that you need to know? If we don't get that in the chat today, maybe we'll get that in the chat tomorrow. And then after, what are we going to do after the hospitalization? Well, we're gonna update everybody and everything. Because medications might be different, routines might be different, expectations might be different. We're going to make sure everybody's on board with how things are now. We're going to get those adjustments to the new things. And also, we're going to figure out how do we get back into our old routines, because routines are critically important for human beings and also for people living with dementia. So we're going to get back to those routines, and we're going to revisit that conversation about hospitals or not hospitals. And we might say, yes, we're still on board with the hospital. We might say, I think that was our last one. We might update what we've got in our go bag. What do we need to have in that bag? This I really never, ever, ever use, but this I could have used 6 more of. So we go back and kind of figure out what are those things, because what it comes down to is whether you're dealing with hospitalization, whether you're dealing at any of these steps in the GEMS progression, whether that's a GEM state for you or a GEM state for the person living with dementia, taking care of yourself is really critically important. It's not a nicety or it's not an option. It really is an absolute, because the reality is if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of that person living with dementia. And you as a human being have a special, valuable place in this world. So it's not just take care of yourself so you can be a good caregiver or care partner. It's take care of yourself because you're valuable and important. So we think about you as individuals, the person living with dementia and the care partner, but we also think about you as a partnership, as a connection, because we need both of you. The world would be different without both of you. So you will have this in your PowerPoint, things to reduce your risk of dementia. It's basically doing things that are healthy. And lastly, to think about how to be healthy and to think about how to make life work well for you and for your person living with dementia. In the PowerPoint, there are a lot of resources. There are TIPAs, things to try to reduce stress, and there's some other resources for how to make life better. But I'm going to end by talking about taking care of yourself by finding some things to laugh about. So there might be things to laugh about that are part of you. There might be things about the person living with dementia. There might be things that are going on in the world that just really might be worth laughing about. And I'm going to show you one of those things. So I'm going to change to, not this, I'm going to change to this. And I'm going to check in with Christine, make sure that you can still see. Now you're seeing Matthew and Tipa. Yes. And now we'll make sure that I'm going to make sure that I have the sound there as well. And I think I do. So let's see what happens in this little interaction with a person living with dementia and a care partner.
Hey,
Yeah. Can you hear?
Tifa, here.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, got a place for him right there.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. See
Look at that.
You do that?
I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that goes here.
Yeah, the blue one.
And then that one, that goes.
On the other green one.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm. Tifa.
Yeah. So far, so good. You know, Matthew's made a connection with Teepa. He put her in because not only diamonds need the right setting, people in the amber state and the ruby state and people in all of these states need the right setting and the right support. So he gave her a table to offer her support, but he's now got something he wants to accomplish. He's got something he wants to do. He wants to get her to take a drink. So he tries some skills to get her to take a drink.
Something to drink?
He gives her a visual cue and she goes, okay, there's that. And I appear to be buffering. So let's try.
Tifa, here.
Yeah. I'm going to move on a little bit forward. He tries to get her to drink. He tries to.
Oh, hey,
Hey.
this here, see it?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
They're
these-
cool, aren't they?
Oh, those go.
Those go-
there
Those go there.
because that's 1,
Mm-hmm.
2,
2,
3,
3,
and 4.
4.
See that?
See,
And this,
That
this
goes-
is this is there.
goes there.
Yeah.
Tifa,
Mm-hmm.
let's get something to drink.
You gonna get it?
Drink. Got it right here.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, that's a drink.
that's a drink.
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
thank you.
You got it.
There again, she doesn't need help. She's got it.
Mm,
That's okay.
that's okay.
So now this, you can put
Oh.
that in there.
You can do that.
You see there?
Yeah, look at that.
And then you can put that there.
Yeah,
See it?
I see it.
And now you've got a
Yeah.
martini.
So, oh, the interesting things we deal with in dementia life. So there were some moments when Tifa was Amber. She had strength and she had skills and she is independent and she wants to be in charge and she can let him know that she can use the cup by pushing his hand away because she's got this. So she is communicating an awful lot. And Matthew at this moment, what gem state do you think Matthew is staying, Christine? Do you think he's doing what do you think? He's staying
Pretty sapphire.
pretty sapphire. He's connected with her. He's being flexible. He tried a whole bunch of different things to get her to do what he wanted. And then there was a moment where Tifa did something that Matthew wasn't expecting. And she drank some of the water and then she took it and she poured it where, and at that moment, what happened to Matthew's amygdala? What happened to Matthew's gem state? He went,
What? He froze.
you're not
Almost.
supposed to do that. That's not what you're, I said that. But he took a deep breath. He did a pullback. He took a pause and he returned to sapphire. So now we have a beautiful, funny moment, a precious story that at some point, because we were interacting with the person living with dementia in a way that is focused not just on loss, but on preserved abilities. We have the ability to be in good enough shape that we can do a pullback and return to that sapphire state. Even with all of these changes, we have that ability to protect that relationships. So I think I am out of time. I'm going to pretend that I actually am on the agenda until 1:30, not 11:30. And we've got more things we're going to talk about. But Ellen turned her dang picture back on and unmuted again. So I'm thinking she's going to make me leave.
Oh gosh, Melanie, you guys are awesome. That was so good. And you know what I love is, we've seen positive approach presentations, but they're always changing and updating and the variety. And I always learn something new every time, every single time. And I hope others did too. And don't forget to come back and see Melanie again tomorrow morning and to put your questions in the chat as well if you have questions. And Steve, are there other logistics, handouts, and things? We know
Well,
PowerPoints, all that will be on the website at
yep.
agingtogether.org, right?
But I tell you,
Can,
yeah, Melanie,
can I say one more thing?
absolutely.
If you are interested in those gems, that is going to be the door, one of the door, not door prizes, but the
The
thing. So
raffle? Yeah.
Pocket Full of Gems is going to be a beautiful book with how to share gems with other people. So I want to
So,
put in that plug.
so
Thank you.
Melanie, can you do the honors of virtually spinning our wheel, and we'll see who the first winner is.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Spin the wheel. No, just do this. Yeah, there we go.
Did I do it or did I not?
Yep, you did it.
Okay. Who got it?
Bonnie Vermillion.
Bonnie! Woohoo! Yay,
Bonnie
Bonnie!
Congrats,
Vermillion.
Bonnie.
And
Yay.
that's great. And then we're going to do another one of those after your session tomorrow, right?
All right. Yes, absolutely. So, yay. Congratulations, Bonnie and Melanie and Christine. Thank you so much to both of you. That was really, really great. I really, like I said, I think everybody really got some good information, some strategies, and the gems as it's such a positive way to look at the progression of dementia and that's just awesome. So I don't know, Steve, any other logistical comments? We're going to take a
No,
little
this
break,
has
I think.
been amazing. We are going to take a break here. And so you guys can see I've got a 15-minute timer up. So go
Awesome.
enjoy your 15 minutes. Make sure that you go visit our exhibit hall and you can see the schedule. You can see what we got on tap tomorrow, which will kick off with Melanie again. And this has been a fabulous conference so far. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Oh, somebody wants to know if they didn't win, how can they get a copy of the book?
Somebody drop that into the best. Yeah, Christine, if you can drop in the best link to order the book, that would be great. All right.
And just to mention, that particular book is was done by Lynn Puzzle, who is a chaplain, clergy, minister kind of person, Antifa. And it is really a picture book for sharing with people living with dementia, with grandchildren and with children. And so that's a wonderful resource. And there are lots of other resources for GEMS on our website as well.
Awesome. And we do also, I also like to remind folks, we've got a lot of local support as well. I know that Cornerstone Cares is doing some programs, and I know there's lots of support out there. You can usually find out about local programs on the Aging Together website at agingtogether.org. But for the GEMS, and for PAC information and positive approach, definitely visit the Positive Approach website as well. And Melanie will be back tomorrow. So bring your questions for Melanie.
Great. Well, we'll see you. We'll see you tomorrow morning, Melanie and
And
Christine.
I do get 4 hours tomorrow, right?
Yeah, you know what? I think we're just going to extend onto like Thursday and just give you like all day Thursday, Melanie, because I never get tired of listening to you. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Okay. Well, see everybody enjoy your break, and we'll see Melanie and Christine tomorrow. All right.